All right, so we are officially recording at this point. I'll just clean through my list here. Time you're in, you're going to check sharing. Click edit 100%, click menu, 3 dots on the bottom.
Jordan, I did see somebody I had, well, you might be admitting people now, but I did have to admit someone a bit ago.
Okay.
So just keep an eye on that.
No, you're the boss of me.
Keep an eye on that.
Poor favor.
I never heard of that. That's a good one.
Okay, so I have to spotlight the presenter's video.
So yeah, do Chris. And then
Oh, look at that beautiful face spotlight up there.
No, it's Chris. There's no beautiful face.
Let's see if I get my screen going. Let's see.
Full screen mode. Give me that full screen mode.
Is that working?
not yet. There it is.
There you go.
Yay. I'm a Zoom professional now. Go ahead and get started. Shelly and I are going to be presenting on how timers can use the RaceDay suite for virtual events. We see a lot of familiar faces and names out there. Some of you know quite a bit about all of these tools. And we've also been putting out a lot of content recently. So it might be a bit of review, but it's all in one place. So it should make it a bit easier to digest. For any of you that haven't seen kind of all of this in one place, I do think it'll be helpful for you to understand what all tools you have and how you can use them. So with that being said, obviously, I think that you guys have probably know and heard about the situation that we're kind of facing in regards to so many races adjusting their strategy, going virtual, or offering different ways of managing their event. And real quick, can you guys see this bar on the side on my screen? I'm trying to make it go away. There you go. All right, I think I did it. So, they're trying to figure out ways to offer a touchless or contactless race experience. And many of your locations are unsure what to do. We actually had, I think a lot of you probably joined into your regional Zoom meetings that we had yesterday afternoon. And I know in mine, we talked about the second bullet point, which is a lot of municipalities are really uncertain as the steps to take, and they are looking for guidance. And so a number of timers have actually taken upon themselves to create guidelines, and using our tools, it can make the contactless race experience much more positive. And then obviously you've got to support the safety measures and be flexible for all that could come out. And then your ultimate goal is to reduce the cancellations, have different options available for people. And the market is very busy right now with a lot of different virtual events. And so you do need to be able to differentiate yourself. And I think we all can agree that everyone in the industry is financially constrained. And so being creative and figuring out a way to service your events, whether they be yours or contract, is super important at this point. So sitting on your hands and waiting is not going to be a successful move. You do need to make moves, make things happen. And like it says at the bottom, timers have an opportunity to lead the industry. So we've talked about these before. Currently, there are 3 real event options. The traditional, which not many, granted, some are coming back, which is awesome to hear. The traditional events are, you throw out mats at the start line or the finish line, and you have, aid stations out on course. It's what you were doing this time last year. Let's put it that way. So, And then you have your hybrid events. Your hybrid events are defined course routes, but they have more options, like open start finish times. The courses may or may not be marked. You may or may not have volunteers out there. It may be timed, it may not be timed. It's kind of dependent on how the race is set up. And in my opinion, the hybrid event is kind of where the timers have the most opportunity to succeed. And then there's the purely virtual or race anywhere option. And this is quite literally a virtual event or a challenge event. It has virtual results that can be submitted through a multitude of different ways. And there's likely a range of start and stop, or a range of times that athletes can submit their times and or complete the distance. So I think a number of you have already been through the challenge events. This has become obviously super popular recently, and it seems like daily. I know even as an employee from RunSignup, I have trouble keeping track just because there's so many things coming out on these events. We now support elevation. We support teams in terms of cumulative stuff. Just there's nonstop cool features coming out on the challenge events. I'm not going to dig deep into this just because I honestly think there is a presentation right now going on about something similar to this. And the opening talk this morning covered a lot of this, but it's a great way of engaging athletes who might not otherwise want to come and run an in-person 5K. Or whatever your event is. So it is a great way to engage athletes. As a timer, a lot of you are being asked to help set things up. And one of the biggest things that I've run into speaking with timers that are having issues is this thing at the top, this important note. And it says no bibs, no results. And this is super important. We've talked about this before in some of our other presentations a few weeks back, but it's just, you need to make sure that you have an auto bib assign function on. And we'll talk about in terms of shipping and things like that in a bit, but realistically, if you're going to set up auto bib assignment, I would also suggest using the virtual or digital bib. And that's because if you are doing shipping and handling for your events, putting the right bib number into the right package and mailing it to the right person can be a bear. So you do have to assign bib numbers before you send out the first message. And all of this is done in your enhanced virtual race. It's under Go RaceDay. And so you just need to make sure that those bibs are turned on and they are set to auto assign upon registration. So we're going to be going through a number of parts of the RaceDay suite, and you guys have, at this point, hopefully seen this image a number of times. So the first thing we're going to go into is your pre-race, touchless options. So with that, we obviously, if hopefully all of you know by now, RunSignup provides registration, and so we have flexible no touch registration. Obviously, we're suggesting doing this by having people register online on their own device. If you are collecting lots of information leading into the event, you are able to set some of these fast registration options for a registration during a certain time period to help people that are registering on RaceDay register faster. You can also, in doing this, keep registration open for longer, which hopefully allows for additional revenue for your event. Or, and again, as the timer, you need to communicate this kind of thing to your event. They might think, oh, we're just going to set it and forget it, and not realize that they have a challenge going on for a month. But they shut down registration the day the challenge started. And so they are probably losing out on 27 to 29 days of registrants that they could be pulling in revenue. and they're not going to think about it. So you as the timer, you need to be the one to help remind them of this. And a lot of you are paid on you might have a base fee and then a per person fee for data management or what have you. So the more people that are brought into the event, A, the more successful the event is, and B, more than likely, the more money you're going to make. So it is something to consider in just your checklist of things to talk about when you speak to your races, is making sure those race dates are open for the entirety of their virtual event. And then obviously, the benefit with all of this is, with using RunSignup registration, is having the automatic data integration with the rest of the RaceDay suite. So as they register, they also have bibs assigned, or it could link to finish their certificate or what have you. All of that links in together. So this makes things easier for both the race owner and you as the timer. So on the bib management side, hopefully most of you have set up bibs before. If you have not, and are a bit confused as to how to assign bibs within RunSignup, feel free to reach out to me. I do training on this kind of stuff all the time, crisp@runsignup.com. And I'd be more than happy to walk you through the bib management options. The other thing is we have content out there. I've done a number of other webinars or specifically on bib management, both dynamic and static bib assignment, so or pre-bib assignment. So we do have a super easy to set up bib management system. It does allow for dynamic bib assignment, which we're going to talk about flexible start times in our 2:30 talk with Matt Avery. You can issue pre-race bibs via email with replacement tags. You can also put in QR codes for quick lookup. And again, we come back to the same thing. It auto integrates with the rest of the RaceDay suite. So some very important things to consider there. So these pre-race virtual bibs, they're a super effective way to assign bib numbers and communicate these bib numbers. And they're less expensive. They're less expensive, obviously, than printing and shipping. But more than anything, I come back to it's easier. For any of you that have been doing fulfillment for virtual events, if you have had to put personalized information into a package, maybe if you're shipping 10 a day, no big deal. But the moment you start to scale and get to 15, 20, 30, 100, 200 a day, it becomes a real bear, and it's nothing but a bib. And so you can use our bib assignment tool in the pre-race bibs you can use templates, or you can create your own design. And so what I suggest to a lot of people is create your own design. It tells you your 775 by 600 pixel size range there. You can design that in Illustrator or Photoshop, put all of your sponsors on there, put anything you want to on there, and then drop it in. And then you can use some of the replacement tags for bib number or name or something like that on there. And you don't have to mail it. They already have it. It's again, a super clean way of getting this information out. So in terms of the socially responsible race day experience, this allows for us to deliver tangible real race elements, engage participants. Obviously, we also want to engage spectators, since that is one thing that I've yet to hear are allowed at any of these smaller events. And just increase the value of your event, because so much of the event has been taken away because the large crowd is not allowed. So with the virtual results, you're able to allow user submitted finish stats. So that could be through RaceJoy, through text, or through the results link on your event. Personally, I think either the results link, which is this in the top left, submit virtual results, is the best way, followed very, very closely with submitting through RaceJoy. So obviously, if you're not using RaceJoy for your event, using the virtual result submission on RunSignup is great. You can use text for challenges. It's not suggested. So you are also able to allow for real-time scored results. And you have the option to review the results that are submitted prior to publishing. And I know a lot of timers have pitched part of their package to races that have gone virtual as they're going to help review these results as part of their data management. And so making sure that the results are reviewed, could be helpful. It could be a way for you to generate more revenue. So for that virtual solo course setup, again, a lot of this has been covered as so much of this virtual symposium has kind of circulated around virtual races and challenges. But one of the biggest things is on step 1 of the Race Wizard, you do want to make sure your race type is selected as virtual race. You want to ensure your registration and event start times encompass the dates that are correct. So what that means is most events are leaving their registration start time to, whenever. They're not doing a whole lot of price increases, if any, and their event registration stop time is set to maybe the day that the challenge ends or the day before. And then making sure that the actual event start and stop times are set correctly so people can continue to enter in their results as needed. For RaceJoy, you want to make sure your in-date time, it's not optional. You need to set that, and you need to set the distance. And so again, we've already talked about the bib numbers, but you do want to make sure that your enhanced virtual results are set up. And you do need to make sure that those bib numbers are set up so that those enhanced virtual results can be received. So some creative uses of RaceDay Suite products. And again, some of you guys have seen some of these pictures, but your online check-in for a no-touch experience, we've had people, set up plexiglass. This is Todd Henderlong's event, I believe, and he had plexiglass set up, and they did pass things underneath, but they weren't, obviously touching each other, to where, people pick up their own bibs, scan their own, which doesn't scale completely, but the idea is that as just a test case, you could set it up so people could scan their own stuff, only handle their own stuff, and then use hand sanitizers after the fact. So this is really specifically for in-person events. These, the challenge versus in-person events in terms of creativity is really notifying athletes that an in-person event is planned, but in the event that it can't be, a challenge with XYZ factors can be done. And the point here is so that people don't feel like they need to wait. They can still register and they're confident that something is going to happen, and just over communicating that. The second thing is, this is kind of a new thing that people have started doing, and that's setting up a challenge that leads into the real in-person event. And what this has done is, a number of people are out exercising, but they're not engaged with the event anymore because the event may or may not happen. And so they're setting up their, Firecracker 5K challenge that ends on July 3rd. And they have to do fill in the blank thing, whatever it might be. And that's included in registration. Now, they don't get anything extra. They just get a virtual bib and all that jazz, but they don't get a t-shirt. They don't get anything extra, but it leads into their real event on, July 4th. And so it just helps re-engage those athletes so that they're thinking about the event. Some other creative race day uses, again, these are things that you can put into your package to help sell to events in regards to helping your race customize finisher certificates, showing or actually making those digital bibs for the event. And that, again, can include all of the sponsors. So you increase sponsor engagement since so much of the in-person is gone. And then another thing I've heard of someone doing is packing the bibs and shirts into the poly mailers and printing the bib number, shirt size, and a barcode on the label. And what that allowed was for a drive-through packet pickup and check-in app, scanning that barcode on the front for bib assignment. And again, if you're not super familiar with the check-in app, feel free to reach out to me. Done plenty of training for people on how to use the check-in app. Also, we do have some resources already out there on webinars for check-in app uses and dynamic assignment, things like that. You can also use corrals to decrease the bandwidth of the starting line. The other thing is obviously leaving your starting line open for longer periods of time. And then with the communication side, helping your event use replacement tags on the emails to alert or remind athletes of their, the corrals, their bib numbers and sizes that they've put together. So then, and we kind of touched on this just then on that last slide, and that's the flexible start results for in-person races. This is offering a staggered start for official races that are timed, either by the corrals or the open start finish. You can use both Race Director and RaceDay scoring for this, though I will say for those Race Director users out there, if you've not played with RaceDay scoring, this is where RaceDay scoring really stretches its legs and shows how powerful and useful it is. And Matt and I will be going over how to time in that regard at 2:30 today. And then you can distribute your results through the RaceDay results. So now I'm going to pass it over to Shelly for some RaceJoy, which might take me a second. So. All right. Shelly?
There we go. Sorry, I was talking. Matt, is there any questions that we should be socialized before I begin that have come up?
Yeah, so there's a couple that came in. I answered them, but it'd be good to bring them up to the crowd as well. Or if you get some better ideas than my answers, that might be good too. So Gabe was wondering if the event is moving to a mixed in-person and virtual, do we still choose virtual or is there a mixed option?
So in my opinion, if you're going to have a mixed event like that, you would want two event, like the way I would set up this would be to set up a virtual option and an in-person option. That way, if you are allowing for results, more than likely, you're only going to be scoring your in-person athletes against other in-person athletes for awards. Whereas if you're doing a virtual option, like a run anywhere, in most of those scenarios, you are not doing awards because obviously somebody could go up to like Pikes Peak and just run downhill for 5K and, put that 12:30 PR down for the 5K time. Whereas if they were running on a flat, maybe they'd be around, 20 minutes.
That segues perfectly into the next question. So I'm glad you recognized it.
Awesome.
There's another question. Do I remember correctly from yesterday that you could have the results from the virtual combined with the results from the in-person if you only wanted one set of results? And so I responded that I haven't personally tested combining user submitted results and timer submitted results and seeing if the ranking works. But from my end, as a timer, I would want those separated out into separate result sets. So that's what I suggested as well.
Yeah, ditto. Because then you have, again, it's just, those people didn't show up. I mean, they're not on the same course. You could, it should work, but I think most people that showed up and ran would feel slighted if, that fastest guy knows he was fastest on race day and somebody submitted a virtual time that beat him. I think you would get a lot of legitimacy questions of that run, which as timers, we want to to limit. I guess as race directors, we want to limit that as well, any kind of legitimacy issues.
Cool, that's all we had.
Cool.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Before I begin, though, I want to just see if raise of hands. Not everybody's on video, but if you want to put your video on real quick, just so I could see how many of you are certified in RaceJoy. Yeah, the thumbs up works too. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Good. We got a nice showing here. So I'm going to, let me share my screen and go from there. Oh, you know what? I didn't set up the enabling of it. So Chris, I'm going to need you to share your screen and I'll talk through it.
No problem. Give me one sec.
I was using a different computer the other day.
Give me one sec. There we are.
Okay, great. So most of you are familiar with RaceJoy, and I'll talk through it. I'm not going to go deep, but just for, from the perspective of what you need to know now with the virtual landscape and what, especially for the certified timers, how can you communicate RaceJoy's value now? So, one of the big messages is knowing that it's been around for more than 7 years and it's been used by more than 1 million users. It's not a new kid on the block. It's tried and tested. And we've done a lot recently to shift towards the virtual space. So I'll talk about that next, if we can go to the next slide. So one of the things I want to make sure, because I know people are getting confused about this, but so we still, support, as Chris started the conversation off with, those traditional defined course routes and so forth. But we also support the ability for people to be tracked at any location at any time. So if you have a race anywhere type of event that they're able to complete a distance from any location, then you can offer them RaceJoy. And you can do a combination. So a lot of the events, they're having a race anywhere, also just as a backup in case they need to close down. I know, Steve, we're in the hot spot here with our numbers increasing. So, if you're in a hotspot area, you want to have a backup plan, right? Even if you've been reopening and so forth. So having that race anywhere option is great. We also do the expanded days. If you have an on-site course, so a defined course, you can do expanded days for weeks to months. You could do several months. It's up to you. It just can't be indefinite. So, okay. So these are the key participant features. And the most important thing right now is that official race experience. That's what your races are going to be most interested in. And meaning that, especially for virtual, they're looking for ways to extend their race experience, to create this tangible evidence that they're providing a race experience that's not just like doing a training run or ride, and that they're just tracking it and getting a t-shirt and a medal, which are all good, but bringing those different elements that are specific to that race. And if they can customize it through the audio experience and putting branding and things like that, then it gives them a little bit more elevated experience. So GPS tracking is obviously the foundation of what RaceJoy is all about. People could track them from all over the world. The ability to send cheers. This is obviously providing more of a socially safe type of approach to embrace those spectators. And then the progress alerts, that's your way of being able to give those splits without having to be on site and have timing equipment. And obviously we have the virtual scored results that Chris just touched on. So all of these things help you to give that official race experience. And I just wanted to mention, I think it was about, one of the things that we've been, hearing about is what can we do to help our city officials understand that we're providing a good and safe experience through RaceJoy or through anything that we're doing. So, you know, Todd Henderlong won the Timer of the Year award this year. And one of the things he did was just very tenacious, right? And he just kept pushing back and coming out with, this is what we're doing to make this safe. So helping your races just say, this is my safety protocol that I recommend. One of those elements is RaceJoy. And with RaceJoy, we're giving you the ability to embrace your spectators and not encourage them to come on site, because they can track their participants through the app and they could send cheers through the app. So they don't need to come on site. So it's, you know, it's definitely a way to help express and support that you're providing a safe type of race experience and overcome those barriers. Okay. So GPS tracking, most of you know what this looks like. With the blue dots on the screen, and you know, they do have to carry their phone. It is an interactive viewing, a map view. They'll see the course if it's a defined course route, and if it's just a, you know, race anywhere, they're still going to see them in a map view. They just want to have a course map. Now, for those virtual events that you have defined course routes, the off-course alert system, we used to have you would have to enable that. We now just have that activated for all of the events right now. So this is great. So if you're not able to be at the race site and you aren't able to have signage out there, then you can rely or somewhat rely on these off-course alerts. So they'll get a notice saying that they're off course, and then they can look at that map to help them get navigated back on. Okay. So virtual results. Again, we're just super excited about this because now the participants, as they complete the course, if you have this enabled, then their data will automatically be submitted to your results, and it will be displayed anywhere that you have it set up to be displayed, including in RaceJoy. So it's super great that it's all integrated. All they need to do is enter in their bib number in the app. So you do need to assign bib numbers. You do need to, as Chris was saying, you need to have that enhanced virtual results activated. The race type needs to be virtual. So make sure, we had a race that kind of switched the race type under the registration event page to run walk. It needs to be virtual for this to work. And you need to enable mobile results for RaceJoy. And they do need to register for the event to get that, because we do have questions about, what about bandits getting into RaceJoy? You know, how are we stopping them? Well, we can't. We're not able to stop them. We don't integrate with registration data, and that's for several reasons. But the long and short of it is that the one thing they won't get is official results from you. So.
And just to back that up, a lot of you are still helping people move over from or transition from regular races to virtual races. And what Shelley just said is super important in regards to making sure those get changed to virtual. So all of these items can, you know, be turned on.
Okay, so so the key race organizer features, this is definitely, when you're talking to them, be aware, this is your selling points, you know, beyond that you're helping them improve the experience. These are all things for them. So there's custom content sections that they can drop in sponsor logos and so forth, but more importantly, they can put in their guidelines about social distancing. They can add in FAQs, and there's an event or there's a schedule section that they can add. And they can add banner ads. So if there's anything important that they want to communicate. And then the sponsor placements, there's a lot of great sponsor opportunities within RaceJoy. We do have a video that you guys could share with your races just on this. It's on RaceJoy's website under Offer RaceJoy, and then there's a section just for certified timers. There's all these tools there for you to share with your races. And then the custom audio for your courses. This is what everybody's all focused on right now. They really want to be able to elevate the experience through the audio experience. So especially for the Race Anywhere, you can add in different type of sound files to play at distant points on the course. So either mile 1, mile 2. And so if there's a theme, this is great to take advantage of. You know, the RaceJoy Rocks that we're doing this week, we're taking advantage of the rock part of things. So, so if you run it on Thursday, you'll experience that yourself. But everybody's super excited about this, and they're also really taking advantage of it for those on-site, more of those hybrid events, because you're not there and spectators aren't there. So it's a great way to engage with the participants and show them, you know, give them that official race experience, and maybe point out points on the course. If you have a scavenger type of course, this is great. So you could say, oh, you're at mile 3. Now it's time to pick up your closest leaf next to you and take a picture or something like that. So this is definitely a way that you can get creative and engage with participants and help your races. And then the communication system, things are changing every day. We all know that. It's a weird world we're living in. So having the ability to communicate with people real time, you have a news alert system that they can use. You don't have to do it for them. You just send them the link, let them do it. Or they can use a monitoring dashboard to send direct audio messages to participants. So that's a great tool for them to use, especially say if they have you see that participants are congregating around the finish area, you can tag them all and send them a message saying, hey guys, you need to clear out. This is the race director. So, you know, consider these tools, and especially that race day monitoring. It's a great way for the race directors to see the value that you're bringing to them. Oh, this is being used by these participants, and oh, I can actually send them a message, and I could see a progress board and see how many people have passed mile 1. So this is all great tools to share with your races. Okay, so I just wanted to mention a couple of things on this, because we have had, everybody's embracing this, obviously. Well, not everybody. There's an influx of interest in the audio experience. So one of the things, if you do custom recording files, we need 10 days. That's for a couple of reasons. We have to review those files, and then they need to go through Apple. So we have a process with that. There is a backup if you are under that 10 days. We have, you can do a text to speech, and you can use our inventory of sound files, and you can create one that way. So just know you do have a backup, but understand we can't, and I know people will be getting a little frustrated around this, but we can't change this. So just be aware of it. Also, the sponsor, any type of sponsor messages need to be adding value to the participant. It cannot be commercials. We will not allow commercials or straight advertising. We've had a few instances of that, and we had to pull them. So we actually accidentally let a few in, and we got negative reviews immediately. So people don't want to, they just don't. We need to protect the baby and and help people to have a really good experience with RaceJoy. So. And then the race day monitoring system, if you come on Thursday after the run, it's at 11 o'clock, we're going to go through the monitoring system and just show how you can use it. So I invite you to join us for that. But again, it's a nice way for your race directors to view people at a glance. They could see it across the country, see all the blue dots move, and just get a good feel of how things are going with the event. And the communications tools, I've talked through that pretty much. It's just know that you have banner ads and all these different ways to communicate, and make your races aware of that. And just be careful that, you let them know how to do it. You're already doing a lot for them. So show them, this is where you do your news alerts, and this is how you can do this. And the more you kind of give them self-education, the less work that you're putting on yourself. And then most of you know that RaceJoy is available through certified timers, especially when the pandemic hit. This was our goal this year, to completely transition to this. And when the pandemic hit, we had to make the transition simply because we just don't have the bandwidth to take care of everyone. And our process is that we encourage the races that are coming to us to check with their timer to see if they're certified. If they're not certified, we encourage them to get certified. And then if for some reason they just don't have someone, then we will provide them with a certified timer to do the RaceJoy work. So the RaceJoy suite, we just wanted to mention, because some people maybe need to do the renewal on this. and that it does include all of these things. It's all the suite that Chris, all these things that Chris was talking about and what I've been talking about. And obviously you get special pricing for RaceJoy if you're certified. So there's some upcoming sessions we just wanted to make sure you all were aware of. If you want to go to the next slide. So the next session, which is immediately following this, well, you'll have a break. Definitely come to this, the scoring and flexible start times. Chris and Matt will be going through this with you. I know this is key right now, especially as we start to see, these on-site events open up, and just having that flexibility to have expanded race time, window of time to do the race. So they'll go into a deep dive of how to do that. So that's a good one.
I'd like to have a time for questions as well, because I know a number of you have questions on how to time with gap factors.
Okay. And then the next, on Thursday, we have the modified in-person events. This is a panel discussion with timers to talk about how they have been, taking advantage, or actually shifting their approach to provide these in-person events, and also just even from the other virtual aspects of, how have they been getting creative around this, and what are the things, how have they been overcoming the challenges. So that's definitely a great one for people to attend. I think you're really gonna like that one, just to get some good user or ideas from other timers. And then in the afternoon, this is specifically for timers on understanding RunSignup's platform, just a little bit more of, if you're trying to persuade races to come over to RunSignup, what are the key benefits of that? And what are the key benefits of RunSignup's platform, and helping them to understand succinctly, these are the tools that you have with RunSignup and why you should make the switch. And then finally, we have RaceJoy Rocks, and I'm hoping everybody joins us. If if you don't feel like running or walking in the morning, we give you a big window of time there, but you can just be a spectator and track people and send them cheers. I like to just look up a vowel to find people. We are doing a phone setup session. This is something that you can invite your events to attend. So if you have events here at the symposium, I would definitely encourage them to come to this if they haven't used RaceJoy yet, so that even if they have, just so they can personally understand what it's providing. We provide an overview of the features as they're completing the course. So and this demo after the run will be available for all of you to provide to your races as a demo run at all times. So so just know that that's another tool. And again, we're doing that debrief session on Thursday that will go through the monitoring system. We'll announce the top finishers, and they'll get bragging rights. So definitely come to that. That'll be kind of fun. And I think that was it. Oh yes, we do have some upcoming training just to share. So those of you that have already been certified on RaceDay scoring, or maybe you haven't been certified yet, we are doing one-on-one sessions. We did have a group session on Monday, but we prefer to do one-on-one because everybody's so different. The scenarios are so different. So just email Chris if you'd like that. I see that, no cash prizes. No, you just get bragging rights. So just email Chris, and he'll be happy to set up some time. He'll send you to a link to set up time with him to do more, either advanced training or more basic. And then
and if you are going to want advanced training, ideally think about specifically what you want to be trained on, not just general. So that would be helpful.
And then RaceJoy certification. If you're not certified in RaceJoy yet, oh my goodness, you need to get certified. Okay, so our next one is, we've been doing this every month since the pandemic hit because of the interest. So join us on July 28th, 1 to 5. You do need to be there for the full time. And then we'll be posting the registration hopefully this week for that. So we'll open up that soon. I think, yep, that's it. Okay. Matt, is there any other questions we should talk through? And definitely people, if you have questions, feel free to enter them in. We're happy to talk through it.
Yeah, we got a couple that I wanted to bring up. So Steve was wondering if we had any materials that summarize, or any materials that summarize some of the technology we have at our disposal for use with Rolling Starts, Check-In, and RaceJoy. Kind of all of these things together.
No, but we should. We have presentations, but we don't have like a flyer.
Yeah, I was saying to him that.
Well, we do have a flyer, but not. I think I'd like to do one just on virtual.
Yeah, I told him that I think after the symposium, we're going to have so much content that we'll be able to put something like that out pretty easily. Once we all take a little vacation, right?
Yes.
So that's good. I think we definitely will get something out there. It's a really great idea, Steve. Don was asking, did Shelley say that the participants no longer have to start their tracking, or did I misunderstand that?
Okay, that's a good question. I actually didn't cover that, but it actually is a really good question. So it differs. If they're doing the race anywhere, where they're running from their home and stuff, then they have to click start my race, because we need to start their clock. Now, if they are at a on-site where we have the defined course path, they still need to go into the app to activate their tracking, because we can't turn that on for them. But they don't have to click the start my race button at the start line if they don't want to. We'll pick them up at mile 1 and we'll do an average for that first mile. However, if they want a really more accurate read on their performance, then they're better off clicking the start my race as they cross the start line. But some people are like, whatever, I don't care. And, so we let them know that that's optional. They just need to, if they want it, a better performance data, then they need to click it.
Cool. Carrie was wondering, and I'm not quite sure on exactly what she was referring to, so I may have her respond to this again. Is the map with the numbers for runners our race route, yet it is being run anywhere?
Yeah, I knew you were going to have questions with that. I turned my camera off because I was eating lunch. So my question is, like the little map that you see for the spectators, or I guess a runner would see that map as well, would that be the actual race route for the live race that's gone virtual? Or is that just a generic map of where they are with numbers? I mean, what is that map you're looking at?
Yeah, that was an on-site course. That was a defined course path. So the numbers will only show, and that's a good question. The numbers will only show if they have an on-site course. Now, if they're completing a race anywhere, all you're going to see is a blue dot moving on a map, but no, like a geographic map, but not a course map. So that's the difference. And we don't require participants to load in their own map if they're doing the race anywhere. They just have to go and do a run, and then we'll detect the distance that they complete. So if you put in like a 5 mile, then that's their goal distance, then we'll detect, oh, they completed mile 5, they're done, and we automatically turn off their tracking.
So the map that it picks up is from the GPS. I mean, I've used Map My Run, so
yeah,
so it's similar to that.
Yeah, very similar to that. So they're going to be tracking their location using GPS technology. Yeah. Now, yeah, I'm not sure with Map My Run. Now, with the difference is they're not loading their own maps like with Map My Run. That's the difference. So, and if it's Race Anywhere, they're not going to have a map. It will be, you only see a course map if it is, that defined course that you've provided, a defined course, and it's been uploaded.
So if we have a defined map course, but they're not running it on that course, they're somewhere else, they're not going to pick up that defined map. They're going to pick up where they are.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you would need to use RaceJoy, you need to have both options loaded so that when they come into the app, because it's actually different technology that we're using. So when they come into the app, they're going to either pick the one that they're running anywhere or the one that's on site. So.
We have one that just came in. I'm sorry if it's Angel or Angel, I'm not sure. Can we invite a race director to track the race on RaceJoy tomorrow?
Sure, definitely. Definitely. And they can run it too if you'd like. And you can invite them to the monitoring session that we're doing on Thursday after it. That would be a nice way for them to see behind the scenes.
One just came in from Steve. As a RaceJoy participant, how hard is it to change a chosen course if there's more than one offered?
If there's one more than one offered. Oh, you mean behind the scenes on the dashboard?
As a user, if there's a 5K and 10K and I decide I want to switch from one to the other.
They just go in, they click on their profile and they select the course that they're doing and it'll be in the drop down. So they need to know that they have to go click on their profile to change it. But they can always change which course that they're doing. And they can actually select multiple courses. So if they think they might be doing, multiple courses, they can select all the ones they might be doing and then choose the one that they're actually doing and begin the run.
Yeah, Steve, it's pretty user-friendly. And I find that like if you just offer a bunch of courses, people should and can register for as many as they want, and it only, uses the one that they actually end up selecting to run for.
I saw Julie Stark was there. So.
Yeah, Julie was wondering about RaceJoy supporting multiple activity submissions. So that's something that RunSignup currently doesn't support, the ability to submit multiple activities from other sources like RaceJoy or other third parties. So right now that's not an option. We're working on making that available to third parties like RaceJoy, but we don't have any solid details on that quite yet.
Yeah, and to clarify, and I meant to cover that, so I'm glad you brought that up, because some people are getting a little confused because we'll say like the challenge events and cumulative type of events. So think of RaceJoy right now, and we, as Matt said, we're working on an API so that we will be able to support it hopefully by the end of the summer. But right now, RaceJoy is you have to have one start and one stop. So, I mean, they could do multiple courses, different ones, but each one has to have a start and stop, and then that submits a result for that. But it's not, you can't do start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, and you do accumulation of data.
She follows up with, if the challenge is multiple run days over many days, can we have that set up in RaceJoy to upload results? They turn it on each day.
Yeah, so each one would give a different result. So you could do it, but each one would have to be set up as a different event.
Yeah, you could do that, Julie, and have basically separate days as events in the RunSignup setup. And you could potentially set up RunSignup series scoring to combine those all together if you wanted to show that.
Any other questions? These are all good questions.
These are all really great questions, everyone.
Things I forgot to cover. So.
That's all I have on my end. If you do have any other questions, feel free to submit them now. We've got a couple of minutes left, so I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have before our next session.
And also you can email me, Shelly, SHELLY @runsignup.com. And Chris, everybody knows Chris' email address.
I've actually already gotten 2 emails while we've been on this for training. So.
And don't forget the next session at 2:30 and the RaceJoy rocks. Yep. I'll be cheering for people because I already went out and did it.
Everybody, please join and participate in the RaceJoy Rocks event. I think it's really important that timers and race directors see what it's like as a user so you can understand how to explain it to people. It's also a really, really fun experience if you've never used it before.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be with us, and hopefully you felt that this was a valuable session. We enjoy being with you. So.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.